Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe this video for more content on any of your alternative football favorites. Now, on to the show. Joining me today on the Gridiron Gallery podcast, we've been continuing our discussion on the European League of Football, as well as diving more into the ins and outs of the international game. Today, I bring a former 10-year player, former veteran of the German Football League. He was playing defensive back for the Stuttgart Scorpions, the Dusseldorf Panthers, as well as the Dresden Monarchs between the years 2004 and 2013. We've been anxious to talk about a few things on the ELF, as well as when he played during the era of NFL Europe, or Europa, if you know it as that. It is Ahmad Spidle joining us today. Ahmad, how are you doing? I know you've been really anxious to get onto the show here, and you really dropped a bit of a tidbit for me coming into this week that we'll discuss later on.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. I'm doing well. It's just sit back, relax, looking at what's going on. This mini war going on here in Germany. It's just been interesting.
Yes, it definitely is seeming like a mini war. And if you listen to some of the German officials from the bit of press that I found online, they definitely take it as an intrusion with the ELF. And we'll get into that too, because I know you have your own take, and a lot of people are kind of curious on how the GLF will react to this moving forward, at least past this summer when their first season starts on June 19th. That is the European League of Football. For yourself, every player I have on, though, I got to start out with the story and at least the passion getting into the game. So for yourself, I need to know how'd your passion, how'd your career start, and how was your time in the GFL?
Well, man, it's so funny. I played my first ever football game actually here in Germany in Wiesbaden as a 9-year-old.
Oh, wow.
My dad was in the military, so that's where my love of football started. We moved back to the States, and we was in Fayetteville, which I didn't play when we was in Fort Bragg. Then we moved from there because we were always traveling. So we settled in Durham, North Carolina, which I call home, the Bull City. And so I went to a high school more known for their basketball with Rodney Rogers and John Lucas and these places, But we had a really good football program. I played varsity 3 years. I was recruited by just about everybody down at the University of Alabama, Virginia Tech, VMI, a couple of historic Black colleges.
Wow.
I ended up at North Carolina, transferred into North Carolina because I went to JUCO first, then I transferred to North Carolina. And then because I had to sit out a whole nother year at the University of North Carolina where I graduated from. And so it was where when Coach Torbush was there, and Matt Brown was there, but Matt Brown did recruit me when I was in high school. So, and we speak, I write him even to this day, we talk. So good time.
Nice.
And then after college, I had a hunger playing ball. So I end up, putting my tape out. It's very hard back then, trying to get, you talking about 2003, 2004, we trying to get, seen. So I had a couple of clubs reach out in Germany, and then I ended up in Stuttgart. And so, at the time when I got to Stuttgart, the president of the team was Kurt Powers, who is right now the head of officials for the European League of Football.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting how that goes.
It's a very interesting story. So he was the president of the team, the 2004. Not such a big coaching staff, but the Stuttgart Scorpion team was a very, very family-oriented team. So a lot of those guys have been playing on that team for years. So they're very, very veteran, very oriented. But they had a very good junior team as well at this time. So, so 2004, we go out, we make the playoffs. Stuttgart never missed the playoffs. They probably, between them and Braunschweig, are the oldest teams in the GFL right now. They've never been relegated. Never been relegated. So we went up, we played again. I remember we had a pretty decent season. We went up in the playoffs and we played Berlin, first round. And man, so I get out there, we're in Berlin. you know, and I'm walking out down the field, and I'm chilling, I'm looking, and then I seen a guy on the track running on the track, getting warmed up. I'm like, hold on, who's this dude, man? And found out at that time it was Eshish Creighton, the GOAT himself.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. And man, it was a really good game. Really, really good game, man. We ran the ball, I think, because we was in that wing T at that particular time. Stuttgart, tradition at the time, wing T. And Kent came in before halftime. They threw a bomb at half, before the half, got us, and right after half, they threw another streak, the extras, touchdown of his game. And you know, they won the German Bowl that year. Very thriller. But man, the GFL back then was really good, especially what would you get at that particular time? It was the homegrown players that would play in NFL Europe and then come back after the season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and so that what really kept the game and really together, because then you really had German players developing.
Fair point. I didn't think about it that way. And I hinted there, I wanted to be curious about the NFL Europe era. I mean, you joined in with Stuttgart, that is around 2004. So that was the last 3 years of NFL Europa at that time. And, you know, I never thought of it that way, but that kind of makes complete sense. And, you know, your NFL Europe at least is credit a lot for the exposure for German fans. I mean, for yourself, you saw the end of NFL Europe and how it kind of changed. So at least for that populace, at least fan wise, you know, maybe even players you played against and those you talked to, did it seem like there was a shift after 07 when everything shut down, or?
Yeah. So in 07, we actually had a guy on our team, offensive lineman, that played for the Frankfurt Galaxy.
Okay.
That was the year that we had a super, super strong team. We had it was a breakthrough for the South, because the year before that, 2006, Marburg made it to the German Bowl. So it was the first time in a long time that this team from the South. So that's where, if you want to see it as today, that's when the South started coming abroad then. Because after that, we made the German Bowl. So, but, you know, both teams, Marburg lost in 2006 to Braunschweig, but we had just lost to Braunschweig in the game to get to the German Bowl. So we was in the quarterfinal, in the semifinal. Then we made it. The German Bowl that year was actually in Stuttgart.
Okay.
And we had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And the crazy thing is, we playing Berlin. We're gonna kick a field goal, and the game is over, basically. They blocked the field goal and scored a touchdown with 45 seconds left in the game.
Oh my gosh.
We come in. I was a kickoff returner. I got it to like 20, 25. Ira Vandera throws a bomb. We catch it, scored a touchdown. That was game. We go to the German Bowl, and man, it's like we in the German Bowl. We don't have to, you know, we're not going nowhere. We're at home. We haven't been on the road throughout the playoffs. But Braunschweig had a devastating team that year. Did not lose the game. Kevin Love, that was the receiver. They had a French running back and an American running back that was good. They was from top to bottom loaded. Top to bottom. They won it that year. Coach Spielberger was the coach. And then after that, he leaves Braunschweig and comes to us in 2008 as the head coach.
Oh.
Yes. And we had a good team that year, and we lose the playoffs against at home Berlin by a touchdown. One touchdown.
Oh man.
Yeah, it said, but that 2007 year, that was it was such a good year, because NFL Europe was pretty good. At that time, they had the Hamburg Sea Devils, and they beat Frankfurt, which is the first game of the inaugural season on television. Right. So they ended it with that team. They will begin the season with that team.
That is right. That is a very good point to bring up. Yeah. I mean, that's coming up really quick for us right now. Like I said, June 19th, it's right around the corner now. You know, I mean, they've been hyping it up, I would say, for the most part, since we heard about it at this past fall in 2020. And then we really started getting like videos, teams and such back in February, March, to where we are about now ready to get going. And it was funny because most of these squads now are old World League of Football teams, NFL Europe teams. They're really leaning hard into that. And I'm going to assume, at least for your understanding, that's definitely a strategy they want to play into, pull on those heartstrings, if you will, of those fans that have not forgotten those days of yore.
Yeah, it's funny if you are a person who's been embedded into the German league football and know about it, you would see Patrick has a strategy. It's a lot of, because at first he told them it was coming, but the league, man, they have a president that's been there forever.
Okay.
He hasn't made any changes. They haven't done anything to make, because I'm sorry, German football league should be a lot advanced than what it is. Television wise, everything, and it's like a standstill. If you go back and check, outside the United States, Germany put more NFL players in than any other country.
Yeah.
So if you telling the people, hey man, the talent there, they're going to college, they're going in there, why are they not investing in the league more? That's been the thing. And Patrick's been all about the players. He's been trying to say, look, man, we should be way more ahead of what's going on. But Robert is like, it's an amateur. No, this is not amateur. When you got grown men going in there getting their heads knocked off, you shouldn't be playing in the amateur league, because you have the best league outside the United States and Canada.
Yeah, that's a good argument right there.
So,
after the CFL, it's either you're going to be talking, I would say, generally, I think either GFL or the X League in Japan.
Yes, those are the only two. They're the only two. They're the only two you can really talk about. And Austria got, 4 or 5 teams. And that's it. But then, just like this weekend, if you looked at the games, the teams that got whooped this week, Stuttgart. We got Stuttgart got whooped, University got whooped, Marlborough got whooped, and Kiel got whooped. And what do all 4 of those teams got in common?
Very good question. What all do they have in common?
All 4 of those teams right in the city or outside the city of one of those major ULF teams.
Okay. That would be a good connection.
They got gutted. They got gutted. The 2 teams that played good in the season opener was Cologne and Dresden. So Leipzig is right next to Dresden, and Cologne. There's but Cologne and Düsseldorf area has a big time football. So there's a lot of players in that area. So that's a big connection, man. And I say Patrick done a good job. He in a little short time, he had the sponsor. He brought money to the game.
Right, and just to for clarification for those listening or watching, you're meaning Patrick Esume, right?
Yes.
Just to clarify that, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously they have. I mean, for us, it seems they put it together. Now, one thing that has come up in at least some discussions I've had, whether it's Aaron Ellis, who I've referenced to you before this, that he's one of the players. He's in the Danish American Football Federation. He talks to players in the European scene. Gets kind of talks with the ELF. There are concerns, at least, on how certain aspects of, say, pay for the homegrown and also the pay for the imports as well. I understand, like, for yourself, that the GLF has maybe not made as much inroads. But is that something? I mean, the ELF, obviously, every team has different structure and function. Their owners are different. How do you look at that? I mean, players obviously have to deal with whatever situation they're given, depending on the team in the region, especially if they're the local homegrown talent.
Okay, I'll put it in the way that it should be. If I'm a player in Europe, I've been playing GFL the whole time.
Okay.
I have to work every day. And we're on a bus and we're going here and there, and we're playing at the same level as any other, but the product they're putting on the field for us is not good. Now you tell these kids who have dreams to maybe have a shot to put film on, put film out there for them to be able to have a shot at NFL at the NFL level or at the international developmental pathway. I wanted to look professional, and we haven't. They're not getting paid, but they're paying the more the time they're paying the import player. But now you say, hey, I give you 200 euros or 400 euros to play a sport that I love to do, and I can go down here and play with the other team and don't get nothing, and I don't have to pay for my equipment. There's it's a different ball game. So I mean, there's gonna be, you start a new league and you're trying to fill out what direction you're gonna go. There's gonna be mistakes, of course, but you know that, hey, I can play here and we're not gonna get relegated. I don't have to go find another team next year. That's different, and you can't play the same. You can't play. You can't do football like soccer, because now look at all the teams that in the GFL. There's two teams. My homeboy is the coach, one of the coaches in Swedish Hall. They're not going to get gutted because they got a program with a youth academy that it's a town. Now Braunschweig is not going to get hurt by this, but all the other teams, it's like a farm league now. The GFL look like a farm league.
I think I see what you're saying. So the way you're putting it is that the soccer style system of different levels, that is, we're talking how you can move up, move down, at least that way. You don't agree with that system being in place, and that doesn't help with, say, football in terms of American football, right?
I mean, for me, I used to really love it, but then I came in when there was the Hamburg Blue Devils, the Berlin Adler. They was traditional team. They're not even in the league no more. Okay. It's like you see teams come in and out. You see a team get relegated. You may not ever see the team get back again. And the thing is, with these teams, they have to go out and find their own sponsors, and they got to pay their license. Now, Patrick is out there saying, "Hey, these teams they set. You ain't got to pay no license every year. We got you. These teams are here. They set." So they right now they got a sponsor for 3 years, a major sponsor for 3 years. So that's money coming in spread to the teams.
Interesting. Now here's something I want to ask, because the GFL, the way I've looked at it, and I understand how you see that it could become a farm system for this. They're feeling like they're getting shaken up, and it's kind of muscling in on their turf here. How do you see them trying to, say, maybe hold their ground, or at least go where they can try and grow or be better than what is coming towards them with the ELF? Because obviously the European League of Football, a majority of their teams are in those markets in major cities in Germany. So those are the guys that are really losing, or at least the ones that will be hurting the most when it comes to exposure. How do you fight that, especially with the TV that they're going to be bringing?
That's what I'm saying. The problem is the TV. That's different. I mean, GFL is on Sports Inc., but it is they need it streaming. It's a streaming system, and I think that's a big problem. But other than that, because like I said, Swedish Hall is going to be the strongest team. Swedish Hall and Braunschweig is easily. They're the team that's going to keep the GFL afloat. So if you look at that, they're not going to hurt from this, because they have a big fan base, a very big fan base, which I'm shocked that because they're in a smaller town of Braunschweig. But that is, if you're going to make a European football league, that would I would have went first anyway, because that's the fan base. Okay. But he's going out, he's doing it to the point where, hey, we have an establishment already. So we're going to go here. We have familiar team names, which he can sell already. So only thing I was just a little bit shocked about, he has 2 teams outside of Germany. So those 2 teams are going to be doing a buck of the trap.
Fair. Very much fair. And here's the thing with what they're looking for, especially in the future years. You mentioned, we were talking Austria. Austria's a market they're looking to target, as well as France have been the top two that have been talked about at least for years moving forward. So I can only assume Austria is going to have a similar response to the German league, where it's, hey, you're muscling in here. Hey, what are you doing? Definitely feels like a shakeup of what it could be for the European scene. Do you see this as a good thing? Like the interconnectivity of it, let's unify, because I know there's been a few attempts that have tried and, well, in some cases failed in recent years.
I think for me, man, because I played in the league and I'm thinking about the kids, that football is becoming something they dream of and they want to do. And they have, it's a time where, okay, what if they can't make it to the NFL? What is another option for them to have something that say, hey, they can have a career?
Right.
That I think that's pretty good. And then, we know Germany is the strongest market for football. It's been like that for years, okay? Mm-hmm. So, but I was shocked too. Like I said, Patrick, he was the national coach in France. I would have thought he would have brought a French team into the mix faster than this year.
Fair point.
Yeah. But I know what he's doing. He's getting a stronger market, trying to establish, how we said in America, plant the seed and let it grow. Mm-hmm. That's what he's doing. And hey, I mean, we're going to see how it is right now. If what I saw through the German league, you could tell that they got gutted. Only teams that really look like, hey, they can go out there and just whoop somebody every day, swing chalk. But like I said, we haven't seen the Rebels play. We haven't seen Braunschweig play. And I can tell you the Rebels and Braunschweig are going to have a team, no matter what.
Yeah, fair points indeed. It's unique. It's very much I would say interesting is a pretty general term, but quite a I would say look at it with a magnifying glass of sorts. What kind of reaction are we going to get after this year, and maybe responses to such play? And we haven't even seen the play yet. That's the thing. I think a lot of with these leagues, we got to see how quality is the play, because if you're advertising yourself as the premier top league across the pond, play better be up to snuff, especially for the people you recruited over. And like you're talking yourself, they really tried getting the best of the best, if they could, from the GFL or other club leagues, as you will, across Europe in general. Looking at the ELF for yourself, do you have any general concerns right away that, you say maybe during season or right after the season, this needs to be addressed, at least player wise, or something that you're like, I'm surprised they haven't adjusted this yet?
The thing I want to see more, okay, I know that the rules are professional, NFL rules. I want to really, really see what the import rule going to be. That's been my really concern. What is the import rule? How many certain A's are outside of Europe, or we don't know. Like I said, we don't know, because you have Spain. It's because the team is in Spain. They have to be all Spanish and outside, or you in Germany, you have all Germans and whatever. You're in Poland, do you have all Poland? That is the shakeup that I really, really, really want to know.
Right. And, this is a curious point. In the U.S., the XFL and the CFL are currently talking. This is a point that keeps coming up, is how do you deal with the ratio over here? Mm-hmm. And you really have to wonder how that works out there, unless the ELF just only cares about the American ratio at that point, but understandably, different countries also have different strength or have been more exposed to the product as well in terms of the youth programs. So something that is to consider about, I didn't, think about the import side of it. You don't really realize, but hey, I mean, if you're doing homegrown, you got to wonder how that works out, especially if the German homegrown players are generally more prepared and are more used to the higher quality of play. Is it always going to be Germany that dominates again? Are we just basically moving that same?
But that's what I'm worried about too. If this is the European league, there's a lot of German teams.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. You didn't go outside the box. You're more going to NFL Europe. See, and that's the thing, because France has a lot of good, they got a lot of good players out there. He should know that, because he coached them. So
right. Right.
he's their national coach. But I could understand Patrick is like this. Hey, man, he took, Robert, you did it your way. We let you do it your way. Okay, I'm coming in. I'm going to bring another way of doing it. And then you have to put up with it. Now, you have Germany, and the football world. Germany is split down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to look at the players, though. You're giving players the opportunity to get on the airplane and on the train to go to Poland and to Spain to play football.
Yeah,
something that you can't get. You don't even pay for the travel for none of these clubs in Germany, but they're giving them a chance to get on the airplane and go down there and play in front of a different crowd, and that's the same as the Spanish team. They get up, they have an opportunity to come to Germany up north and play multiple games.
Mm-hmm. True.
I mean, it's the thing that I like about all of this is, hey, the game is growing, and Europe deserves that. It deserves that. Germany deserves that. All these teams deserve that. So what we got? What is 8 teams now? Maybe next year, I can see the Ryan Fire being a part of,
that would be kind of cool to have them back.
Yeah, and so.
I mean, there's a few I think about that I'm like looking at NFL Europe. I'm like, I'd love to have a few of those, like the Rhine Fire, the Amsterdam Admirals would be kind of cool.
Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm. You go over to London, get the Monarchs back.
Yeah, because I've heard some about London.
Okay.
And I wouldn't, and I didn't think about that. Amsterdam is another, because it's sitting right there, right in the market.
Mm-hmm. Well, London, it makes a lot of sense. They have that QB camp that they've really been pushing for the NFL, at least the international program. So having that right there and something that they're already trying to have a connection to NFL's past in a way. I mean, it would make a lot of sense if you brought it back and gave those players maybe in that international camp a chance to get some exposure and play on film. But these are all hypotheticals, of course. None of this is confirmed. It's just it'd be nice to see a few of these back if they're going to keep going this NFL Europe route the way they're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to continue the NFL Europe route. And one thing I would like to say is this, man, playing in GFL, it was maybe one of the funnest times I ever had. The German guys are definitely they're good ball players.
Mm-hmm.
They, it's definitely getting out there, being in the locker room, being on the bus, being out there, fighting in the playoffs. It's just a fraternity. It's being in the playoffs. I mean, I played in some crazy games. I played in some heartbreakers. I was on a team where we beat a team 84 to 50 something.
What? Sounds like arena football scores out there. What in the world?
Yeah, in the same season we scored we won 2 games, and one in the same season we put 80 plus points up.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you get into a season where some teams you're like, dang, they're down and they may get relegated. The players kind of motivation go down. But I mean, the German league, I played against Patrick when I played in Düsseldorf. We played Esume 3 times, and one was in the playoff to get to the German Bowl. And so he's a that good coach. He was a coach at NFL Europe with the Sea Devils. He with the Raiders, so he's been around the American way of style of things been made. So, but he's a good coach. He won a German Bowl, and I mean, Germany is a hotbed of good football players.
Mm-hmm. And football interest too from fans. You gotta give them credit. I mean, honestly, I give a lot of credit to at least the World League of Football back then too, as well as even a bit of NFL Europe. A bit of that interest there, and moving overseas kind of helped with the beginnings of the GFL itself, from what it looks like. So,
well, no, I said this when I was here as a kid. Football started when the soldiers and they had the Air Force League.
Okay,
that's where it started, and then they started leaking over with the military guys and start playing seasons. Then I was a kid then, but I used to see that what was going on back then. And so like in 85 and 80, 86, that's when these teams, the Air Force and Army guys and Germans start coming together to make these clubs. So that's how the GFL started.
Okay. Nice to have a little insight there. You know, but that does make a lot of sense, especially the way you mentioned how you got there yourself. So
yeah,
I completely understand that, you know, and obviously the US and German connection internationally, you know, and especially with military, that all logically makes complete sense in my eyes. I get it. I completely get it.
They had a huge Air Force league, a huge Air Force league. It was like almost like an NFL type field. Guys will get stationed over here and they played in the Air Force League, and there was some good ball. The guys who probably didn't go to college, they was in the military, they were playing in the overseas.
You know, curious. This is a sidestep. You got a favorite city you visit out there often, or at least in Germany? Like, where do you like to go? You know,
I like Cologne.
Okay,
Cologne is beautiful, man. Cologne and Amsterdam.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing, because the Cologne Dusseldorf area maybe developed the best youth football players in all of Germany.
Wow. Okay. Bold statement there, but I mean,
yeah.
Hey, you're right in the thick of it, so I can get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Not bad. I've done one trip to Germany myself, just a random fact. Okay. Berlin and Munich. So, you know,
oh yeah, I love
beautiful
Munich.
Cities. You know,
truly. I love Munich. I love Berlin. Well, you know, playing in the first league, the Bundesliga, I've been in every city.
You're right. That's why I gotta ask. You know, especially if you're living out there. I mean, hey, you know,
I've been in every city playing football, man. I've been in Hamburg. I've been Kiel. Swedish Hall is, you know, I haven't won a record against them, so I love Swedish Hall. I think Ziggy has done such an outstanding job with that program from the ground up. He built that thing, and now Jordan. I played against Jordan, and he's kept the ball rolling there, and so they're not going to fall off no time soon.
All right, awesome. Ahmad, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate the insight. Like I said, we're me over here, as well as, you know, Vince and Aaron, when we're on as the trio, you know, we're trying to get the whole scope of this whole thing, because, you know, it's the big headlines make it over here in the US, but we don't get, you know, we don't get like the inside NFL stuff like that we do over here. So we have to kind of snoop around and get players on the ground floor that have been on both these sides, if you can, and see what's going on, you know. So I really, your insight and at least thoughts on this, I appreciate that a bunch. That helps us here, and it helps those that watch, because, you know, a lot of people really want to know what's going on with this. That's more than just, you know, the NFL Europe angle, and they want to see how this will pan out. So
I just think it's crazy. They shouldn't be fighting about it. It's football. And it's more for the fans. It's the same thing that when I look at about when they were talking about soccer and they wanted to make a super league, and they went crazy because a couple of teams want, you know, like the best want to play the best, you know, like that's how it should be, you know, like, but they feel like they've had this old way of playing, you know, and which is okay. It's all right. But, you know, sometimes things evolve. You want to just, you're doing it for the people, the guys who play. And it's a product. You want to put the best product on the field for the fans and let them enjoy it. You know,
absolutely.
And I don't care if you can give as much football out there, give it. You know, that's the biggest problem in the United States. You know, they trying so hard to find a spring league to offset to help develop players to get into the NFL.
Yeah, and hey,
but, you know.
I mean, we just had the USFL announce its own comeback too. Although that's unique in its own right. I mean, plenty of stuff going on.
Yeah, but I kind of like the SFL CFL thing, man. Like,
yeah.
I kind of like that concept. You get both of them, then they get a chance to play each other. I mean, I think that's very nice, and the NFL can sit up there and say and scout.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's more, to me, it's more paths. That's how I look at it. You get more paths, more roads to the chance to get back to the top level in the world. So, why not? And I mean, who knows? And we're still, like I said, we're not even 100% sure how this is going to be. I'm happy. The concept of it, in any case, wherever we get football, it's going to be great, I think. So, a lot of stuff going on. And like we talked with ELF, just adds more onto that. Ahmad, where can we find you, man? At least socially.
Socially, you can find me. I have my own podcast as well. It's called the
really? Sports. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, so I kind of talk about sports. I'm a sports guy. I talk about my Tar Heels, of course. Okay. I kind of interview players, that I went to school with, or we kind of talk about, especially with college football season and the NFL, what we think, what went on, and and these things. Because I'm a football guy, so I know football. Then I have a guy who knows basketball. So, the Spy Sports Show podcast is, right now I'm going to have some new episodes coming up soon. Maybe get you on here.
Oh,
and
okay.
We can link up on there and definitely, and talk more about what's going on in the future.
Nice. Well, I will definitely keep in touch with you about that, and I'll let Aaron and Vince know too, because I imagine they'd love to, especially Aaron. He would love to give some insights, player to player, for you guys. That would be probably a great conversation to have right there.
Definitely, it's a fraternity. It's a fraternity. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love to say this is one of my favorite statements. I always say that. Shoot, you got a better chance of getting in the NFL to get into a team in Germany or in Europe.
Oh man!
Especially when with the import, and everything, you only have 6 spots, and everybody in the United States trying to be one. So, how many of you guys ask? The crazy thing I always say is, if you could play more than 1 or 2 or 3 years in Europe, you made it.
Dropping some truth at least a bit there, but still. love the insight, man. Ahmad, thank you so much for being on today. Ahmad Spidle, everybody. Really can't appreciate it enough, and guess we'll catch you on the show or on your show at some point sooner rather than later.
No problem, man. Definitely.
The Gridiron Gallery podcast. New episodes every Friday on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and premiering first, as always, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on unhingedsn.com.